everybody. It's Olivia Scott. Welcome to another episode of Freedom at the Mat Chat. Today, we're going to talk about how breastfeeding can change generations. As our special featured guest, we have Taeshaun H. She's an MPH, Master's of Public Health, a doula, and the founder of Changing Generations. As a doula and an MPH and the founder of Changing Generations with over 15 years of experience in women, infants, and children's health, her involvement with Birthmark Doula Collective and New Orleans Breastfeeding Center, she is perfectly positioned to speak to us today about maternal health, in particular, breastfeeding and neonatal health. Taeshaun, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing amazing today. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm grateful. This is a conversation that's going to enlighten me. I've never had children. I have lots of friends who have, and I understand it's an entirely different life experience. So I'm really looking forward to what you're going to bring to Freedom at the Mat today. So, Taeshaun, we know that as we empower women to really make informed choices for their well-being, we want to really talk about the holistic benefits of breastfeeding, not just for the baby's health and development, but also for the mother's physical and emotional well-being. Can you tell us more about why and how breastfeeding is so important and the values that it brings to the woman's health, the mother's health, as well as the baby's?
Yes, absolutely. So I like to talk about it in the standpoint of how the World Health Organization addresses breastfeeding. I like to talk about the risk of not breastfeeding. And typically, a lot of practitioners kind of shy away from that dynamic. I think they tiptoe around the predatory marketing of the formula. And so for me, it's really about helping families understand to make the most informed decision. So for infants, there is an increased risk of infections in their lungs and in their GI tracts if they're not breastfed. Childhood obesity increases, type 1 and type 2 diabetes, childhood cancer, sudden infant death syndrome is very prominent as well. Less ear infections if you breastfeed your baby, those lower respiratory tract infections as well. Asthma increases, skin allergies, heart disease, necrotizing enterocolitis, which is called NEC, which happens in preterm infants, colic and stomach upset, changes in the digestive bacteria in your baby's GI tract, even your baby's jaw and teeth don't also align correctly because it takes more muscles to breastfeed than to bottle feed. For a mother, she can have more premenopausal breast cancer, ovarian cancer risk increase, obesity for her increase, retained pregnancy rates, weight also increases for that mother, type 2 for her as well. I know it's a lot. Osteoporosis and arthritis. And so breastfeeding is a true protective factor for living longer over the lifespan for mother and baby. And there's also a really cool thing which happens is typically breastfed babies are held a little longer than a formula fed or just bottle fed babies in general. They're getting a lot of skin to skin. It's a very different dynamic. So these social emotional skills are also emerging out of that as well, having more comfort and brain development.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So I know that, I'm a marketer by trade. And I know something of concern for you is the predatory marketing tactics that are often influencing a mother's journey and her freedom to choose how she nourishes her baby. What steps can women take to feel more empowered in their own choice of how they're going to feed their child?
Absolutely. Education, education, education. prenatal education and information. I have noticed that a lot of the marketing has really increased, specifically on social media. And a lot of families are actually making decisions on feeding their baby before they even have children based upon these ads. And it's really disheartening and scary. And so we really want to give families the most informed decision. So I recommend trying to learn about the risk of not breastfeeding and what's really in formula. What things that they typically do, if you notice on a can, if you just happen to pass down the aisle, just look at those cans and read them and see what they're saying. They say things of increased brain development, less fussiness, less gas, so many things. Or they'll say things of like, this is our closest formula to breast milk, inspired by breast milk. Well, they
Mm,
cannot recreate it
right.
because every mother's milk is different for her and her baby. And
Hmm.
the milk changes even throughout a feeding, throughout the day. Your milk is never the same. They cannot recreate that. They cannot add in DHA. They cannot add in all of those vitamins and properties that are in breast milk. There are vitamins and minerals in breast milk that haven't even been discovered yet. There's stem cells in breast milk. There could be a cure to cancer in there. And so we really want to help families make the most informed decisions about their feeding their children. Now, if they decide to feed their babies formula, I'm not going to beat them up. I just want them to have the most informed decision and really helping families to understand that breastfeeders are not superior over formula feeders as far as mothers,
Okay.
but I really want families to understand that breast milk is superior over formula. And that is not always easy for families to understand or really digest, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. And from what very little I know and have seen, right, with the whole breast pumping and having to store the milk and the nipples becoming very sensitive, do you have any recommendations or resources for women who are on the fence, who they want to breastfeed, but it's just more practical to do the formulas?
Yes, and I think that's also a hidden rhetoric that it's easier to formula feed. Feeding your baby is hard in general. If you're going
Okay.
to breastfeed, if you're going to formula feed, it's just a lot having a newborn baby that you just came out of the world for you to take care of this little human, to feed, sustain, and nourish, to be a living, beautiful human being, if that makes sense. So I really want families to understand getting support early on. There's so many resources there for families. I'm a certified lactation counselor. There are certified breastfeeding specialists, certified breastfeeding educators, and the top certification for breastfeeding is an international board certified lactation consultant. And I work with consultants to help support families. There are groups called baby cafes. They're all over the United States.
Hmm.
There's some in New Orleans called NOLA Baby Cafe. We have also other supports where you can get some those breastfeeding groups on Facebook to help support you. There are many hotlines to help support you in navigating. If you are a WIC mother, there are lots of WIC breastfeeding peer counselors that can help support you during your journey. There are resources out there. I think it's really important to have a support and figuring out what that support looks like. And a doula can be one of those supports as well to kind of help you navigate those resources.
For women who are seeking holistic support and a sense of agency during pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, a doula, as many of us have heard, can be a really powerful guide. Am I correct that you're a doula, right? You are a
Yes,
doula.
I
How long have you
am.
been
I am a doula. Yes.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been a doula since 2021. I was able to get trained kind of in the midst of the pandemic.
Okay.
So, what really got me into birth work, to be honest, is breastfeeding and lactation. I got my certification in lactation first, and it was in the certification process that it was a light bulb that was like, I think I should be a doula, which I feel like was just a very, just a little thing that the Holy Spirit just put into my heart at that moment, where this was another added layer of how I could support families.
Please demystify for us the role of a doula. I think it's growing, but there's still plenty of us who don't really understand what they are, how this specialized support can actually contribute to a more empowered and peaceful maternal wealth journey.
Yes, I love that. You're so right. So many people really still don't know what a doula is. Sometimes when I tell them, they're like, "What is that?" So I love to tell them it's a very simplistic thing. The true definition is a servant. And I am a servant leader. So I do look at it as a service to others. Doulas, we are not medical providers. Compared to a midwife is a medical provider. A midwife goes through extensive training. A midwife has to have so many births in order to support others. They can actually deliver babies. That is not what I do. I am spiritual, emotional, holistic support. I like to coin myself as the birth bestie. I am your best friend throughout your birthing journey. I'm helping you to navigate and giving you resources and education on nutritional things in the prenatal aspect, mental health support in the early days, breastfeeding and how important it is, trying to get that education early on, helping them to create a community so that they can feel supported in their journey. I also help them during the birthing process with breathing techniques, giving them comfort techniques, helping them navigate the birthing process of any way they decide. If they want to have a natural birth, they want to use an epidural, I help them in any birthing process that they decide. And then postpartum support, doing home visits, being a doula. I like to look at myself as a conductor of peace. I'm bringing in a spirit of peace and love and harmony into this family to just help them feel comforted. We're also helping them to advocate for themselves. We really want them to be able to advocate for themselves in the hospital. It can be a very scary place. And so we really want to just help them navigate through that process.
Fascinating. So you're like a friend. You're like a big old hug.
Yes, I love that. I love
Not
that.
at all to deduce, right, what you do and the training you all go through, but like to your point, like you can't deliver a baby, or you can.
Correct. Yes, I would not deliver a baby. Now, if something were to just happen where
Yeah.
I'm home with this mom and she has this precipitous birth, I would just lean on Jesus. We would call 911 and I would coach her through that process. But no, I am not a medical provider to be able to safely birth a baby on my own. Even though a lot of women say, "You helped me, she helped me have my baby."
So tell me this though, Taeshaun, who do you think is most, if you were to identify which women, which type of women would be most likely to need or find value? Is there a prototype for like a woman who lives in a certain market, a woman who doesn't have family nearby, a woman who may not have a partner who's supportive, or a woman who's gone through miscarriage before? Like, are there any examples of types of women that should really consider adding a doula, particularly?
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. You listed them all and even more. There is a lot of research around doula support, and there is research around just having someone in the room with you who you know is in your corner. So there was some research where it showed where even if a doula didn't say or do anything and she just stood in the room, but that mother knew that she was there for her, there was more better outcome of a safety net or feeling safe in their own space. So I recommend it more so, especially for those high risk mothers, mothers who are single for sure,
Yeah.
women who have Medicaid, who are in a specific demographic that typically is ostracized in hospitals. Um,
Mhm.
we really want to have those women be supported as well. But even women who are very educated,
Mhm.
even if they're African American, there's a lot of research on showing how they are not treated the same. There is research around white women who just have high school diplomas are treated better than Black women with PhDs in the hospital. So
Oh.
education does not seclude you from being ostracized in the hospital based on your skin color. The number one reason for morbidity and mortality is racism and racial biases. That is the number one reason. It's not access, it's not hemorrhaging, it's not clotting, even though those are very high on the list. It is racial biases. We are not listening to Black women.
What I'm curious about is when a woman is pregnant, is there a likelihood that she's more vulnerable and that's why she doesn't advocate for herself or doesn't feel confident in advocating for herself and like all these emotions that are happening while she's pregnant? I don't want to go too far, but like that's why a doula is helpful for her to kind of just be her support system.
Absolutely. And just education in general. A lot of families, they only get so much as far as prenatal education and what that looks like. And so even with their OB, they're not spending a lot of time with their OB. What
Okay.
I'm there for is like a listening ear, really helping them navigate that. And so, yes, there are a lot of hormones that are just going through this woman's body or this birthing person's body to create this human being. So
Yep.
you are very emotional, very sensitive to the outside world. And so we like to say she's a portal. And we want to make sure that we're pouring correctly into this gentle portal that is here now. She's very exposed with her baby. I don't even really like to talk about morbidity and mortality with pregnant women.
Right.
Um,
Right.
there was a documentary that came out on Hulu, and a old granny midwife was recommending that women watch it after they've weaned, meaning weaned from breastfeeding because it was so traumatic. We don't want to give these mothers this trauma early on. We want them because it's already kind of inherent in us, in our genetics. So we really have to work hard mentally, physically, emotionally to be able to counteract that so that we can have this beautiful, powerful birthing experience. Yeah.
What led you to this work? It's a very specific and beautiful servant leadership type of work around lactation, breastfeeding, master's in public health, being a doula. What led you down this path, Taeshaun?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, I started out in early childhood education.
Okay.
I have an associate's and bachelor's degrees in child development and family studies, and I taught in early childhood classrooms. I was a nanny and au pair for some prominent families, a Saints player in the city. I worked for a nanny agency for a very long time, and I just really fell in love with brain development, social emotional skills. I learned a lot about adverse childhood experiences. And I knew I loved children and families, but I wasn't superiorly happy in the classroom. Even though I did really well in the classroom, I just wasn't always excited and invigorated every day. And it wasn't until I really prayed and asked God to really bring me into my purpose. And I always had a passion for breastfeeding and lactation. There was always this hunger for knowledge in that field, but I never thought I could have a career in that. I never really thought that existed until I became a parenting educator and met the founder of NOLA Baby Cafe here in New Orleans, Portia Williams. And
Okay.
so I just fell in love with everything lactation. I had an amazing opportunity to become a certified lactation counselor. I got a scholarship for the program, which was amazing. And I just kind of hit the ground running. And like I mentioned before, while I was in the certification, I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was in that classroom. They were talking about birthing and how natural birthing can be powerful in helping a mother successfully breastfeed. And it was just like a light bulb. The Holy Spirit just kind of put it in my spirit. I should be a doula. And I just started looking for trainings, and I
Okay.
get trained through an amazing certified nurse midwife. Her name is Nicole Deggins, and
Okay.
the name of her organization, yes, is
Yep.
Sister Midwife Productions. and she is profound and dynamic and taught me so much. And I just fell in love with all things maternal child health. And I'm actually grateful that I started out in early childhood education, because now I have much more robust information to give to families. I'm not just talking about birth or lactation, but I can help them with infant care techniques, how to calm and safely secure their babies, how to talk to them, and promote brain development. So I can go through a long spectrum of services to help support families. So I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you. And so you're just leading right to my next question, which is now, as a New Orleans based doula, do you, and if so, how do you incorporate elements of the New Orleans culture and community, or the ancestral wisdom, which is so available to us, it feels like just on the streets, into your practice to support Black women in, or any, really all women, right? But it's really about how are you merging, and if you're merging your culture with the practice of women in the area and their birthing and their postpartum journeys to foster a real sense of grounding and empowerment.
Yes, absolutely. I just really encourage them to create community.
Okay.
It's some families really don't have support. Like, there are clients that I serve and they don't have a lot of family here in the city. So
Mhm.
I always send them to one of my favorite places. I used to work for them, but now I work more closely with them, called the We Play Center, also known as Training Grounds. And I send families to this amazing organization to help create community. This organization focuses on parent education, and what they have is a free play space where families can come in and get supportive services, but meet other families with children with their age. There are other resources I like to connect them with as well. There's another group, I believe it's called Black NOLA Moms. And so I'm really helping them to create community, thinking about who is that friend that you met at work that you know that you can call on to say, hey, I'm really struggling today. I don't have any food. Is it possible that you can bring me a meal today for me and my baby? There is that person that you've made a connection with that you probably didn't think that would help you. But if you really ponder and think about the connection that you've made, you are
Mhm.
creating community, and how that we can create that and grow that more robustly. That's really my biggest thing. And then making sure that they reach out. There are mental health services to support families, even hotlines they can call to get ideas or support. The resources are there. It's really just about having them to create that community, like I said. And the doula is a part of that.
Right.
A midwife is a part of that. Your doctor can also be a part of that community if they're a trusted resource for you as well.
Thank you so much, Tayshawn. So now, in addition to community, for new mothers who are navigating the profound changes of being a new mom and postpartum, do you have any practical and compassionate self-care strategies that new moms can integrate into their lives to
Yeah.
prioritize their well-being and their mental health amidst being a new mom?
Absolutely. I'm very respectful about people's beliefs, but I
Yeah.
always let them know what I believe so that they know how I operate. I'm a very spiritual person, and resonating in that is very powerful as a birthing individual, because this is a very normal physiological experience that happens. And my goal is to empower you in your well being and what has already been put inside of you. So I typically lead in a Christian way, but I respect all others' beliefs. So if there's someone who believes differently, I am very culturally sensitive, and I help them navigate through what that is for them. What are their beliefs, and how do they calm themselves? So the spiritual aspect is the first thing I always lead with, what their beliefs are, tapping into that, and really feeling empowered within that. My second one is lots of meditation and
Mhm.
breathing, mindfulness. That is very, very powerful in birthing, especially if you want to have a very natural, holistic experience in birthing. And so, really, training your brain. Your brain is a muscle. And so we really want to, I help really encourage them to train your brain for birth. Your body is created to do this. It's going to automatically do it. Yes, there are stretches and
Right.
exercises and positions that can be more comforting, but we really want to exercise that brain. Your brain is what's going to help you overcome those waves, those contractions, those surges, and help you overcome that. So that's really a big thing for me. And then nutrition is very powerful. Typically, women who feel really ill or less energy in their pregnancy is usually connected to nutrition aspects. So getting that hydration there, really powerful for your amniotic fluid. Yes, absolutely. Getting those really good nutritional foods, eating those extra caloric intake that you need during that pregnancy, and a really, really good high grade prenatal vitamin is very impactful. And doing some light movement. If you worked out before pregnancy, that's great. If you never were someone that really worked out during pregnancy, we want to take it a little easier. Some yoga, walking, stretching. We don't want to start lifting weights if you didn't do that before. Now, if you were
Right.
doing that before, it's okay. And
Right.
you want to pace with your doctor to see how things are going. But we don't want to say, oh, now that I'm pregnant, let me start this huge workout routine. We don't want to do that. But
Correct.
getting the body moving, nutrition, mental wellness, those can be really impactful in how you navigate. And having that partner too. If you're blessed to have a partner in the journey, leaning into that partner and doing those things to navigate together.
Very well.
Yeah,
Well, I thank you so much for your time today. You have
absolutely.
enlightened me, and I hope that others are enlightened as well. My last question for you, it's around breastfeeding, going back to what we talked about at the very beginning and what this segment is around about how breastfeeding can truly change generations.
Yes.
For women who are on the fence, do you have some specific tips and tricks that can help women who like they really want to do it, Taeshaun, but the formula just seems so much easier? Like, do you have any recommendations of, you should batch produce your milk, or you should use a certain type of bottle, you should use a microwave or a refrigerator? There's certain things, and I know I sound crazy right now. You can tell I'm dedicated. But if you have any recommendations to really help those women who are, excuse me, who are like, I really want to do it, I really do, but it's going to hurt me more, or and I don't really see why. If you can tell
Yeah.
us, like, your real why, the why, at the end of the day, if you can help them get that once again, and then also any tips or tricks.
Yes. So for me, the reason why I really encourage mothers to breastfeed because of the attachment. Typically in our
Mhm.
culture, I hear this a lot. I don't want my baby to be attached to me. And that's the last thing that we want to do. Your baby's brain thrives in secure attachment, and breastfeeding can create that secure attachment. And so holding your baby, that skin to skin, when babies are first born, their eyesight is not very strong. It creases over time. And their perfect vision to see their mother's face is when they are breastfeeding, which is amazing. And so it's very powerful breastfeeding. And we really want to help families understand that. Getting support early on, the education, the prenatal education, understanding what a latch looks like, understanding how my body works to create milk, understanding feeding baby and not the refrigerator, or feeding baby and not the freezer. That's very common on TikTok and social media. These women feel that they need to have these stashes of milk,
Right.
freezer full of
Right.
milk. That's not realistic.
Okay.
I
Okay.
recommend, if you really, to be honest, the first few weeks of life, you are just home, relaxing, breastfeeding, eating, resting, Netflix and chill, repeat. We are bouncing back in the bed. There's that bounce back culture. We
Right.
really want your healing to take place. Postpartum is a very sensitive time. So you are trying to replenish your body with nourishment, nurturing foods, you're being served on with your family, you're breastfeeding and bonding with your baby. What we want to do is help families understand we want to feed your baby 8 or more in 24 hours. And we want to look at the baby, not the clock. Typically, people will say, oh, feed your baby every 2 hours, every 2.5 hours. Now, once you get into a groove, it may look like that. But that's not how we want to view that. We're
Right.
looking at all our babies' feeding cues. So babies give us all these signals to let us know that they're hungry. And helping families understand that babies feed for more reasons than just hunger. They feed for hunger, for thirst, for
Mm.
comfort, for
Mm.
dessert, for snacks. There are many reasons why babies feed. And so helping families understand that. If a mother is trying to collect milk, let's just say she's at her 6 week mark. Things are going well. They're having a great relationship. And now she wants to start kind of getting out of the house a little more. She may be giving baby to the grandmother for a couple of hours a day so that mom can have her own little mommy time. So she needs to pump some milk. We're only talking about reserving a 48-hour supply. We
Okay.
don't need these copious amounts of milk in the freezer. That can
48.
create an oversupply, and that's a lot of work to try to keep up with that.
And the
Um,
oversupply, Taeshaun, let me
mhm.
ask you this question. Sorry for interrupting you.
No,
The
you're good.
oversupply, do you have to throw it out? Is there like expiration on it where like you really should not go over 48 hours because it's bad, it spoils, you need to throw it out?
Great question. So, if I can remember correctly, we can do 4 hours on the countertop at about 70 degrees. We can do 4 days in the refrigerator and then up to a year in the freezer.
Oh.
Up to a year in the freezer.
So why do you say we shouldn't do the freezer? Or I didn't hear you say you shouldn't do the freezer. You just said it's like an unrealistic expectation. You don't have to go that far with the TikTok.
Correct. I think women they see this very popular, like on TikTok or social media, where these moms have milk, I mean, just oozing out of their freezer. And then it's just there because a lot of moms, they might be directly feeding from the breast, but now all this bags of milk is coming from the freezer, and we could donate that. You know, I think they don't understand. They think that they need all of this, but really, baby is going to tell us exactly what they need off the breast, especially if you're exclusively putting baby to the breast, if that makes sense. So it's okay to freeze milk and have a little stash, but you don't need 50 ounces of milk. You only need a 48-hour supply. I don't even like to say 2 days, 48 hours. You want to
Okay.
think about just a 2 day, an extra 2 day supply of milk. The most moms have like a 6 month supply of milk. That's a lot. And so they're, and then after a year, you can't use it anyway. And
Right.
yes. And there's nothing like freshly expressed milk. Freshly expressed milk and frozen breast milk after 6 months is different components. Now, yes, it's still great human milk,
Right.
way better over formula, but expressed milk and frozen milk is very different. The components change when it's frozen.
Cool. My last question for you. Thank you for addressing
Oh,
that. So
yeah.
much good nuggets there. So many good nuggets. For the women who have the issues with the sensitivity of their nipples and how they hurt, do you have any tips or tricks or recommendations to minimize that pain and discomfort?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a myth. Breastfeeding should not be painful. There should only be a little bit of tenderness in the first like 2 weeks of life because your body is not used to it. Some tenderness, but there should not be any pain. No pain when latching. So if you're having a painful latch, your baby is not latched appropriately. And you need to seek out support so that you can have a more robust relationship. Typically, there's research around when mothers have a really great breastfeeding relationship, postpartum depression significantly decreases. But when a mother has some trouble with breastfeeding, that can be a factor where postpartum depression can increase.
Right.
So seeking out that information before, kind of having a plan. You already know I have a doula who is versed in lactation support. I know she can help me. I know she has these resources to help me. It's early on. We want to help families understand that they need to remove milk from their breasts within the first hour after birth, or at least within the first 1 to 5 hours after birth. That is when we have the most copious milk supply. And so really helping families understand that. And we never microwave breast milk, because breast milk is a living, it's a living food. It's living, and it has components in it that if you put it in the microwave, it will kill it. And it can also have hot spots in it. So we always want to, there's a myth that you have to feed babies warm milk. Babies don't need warm milk. They might prefer it, but they don't need warm milk. So you can feed babies straight from the refrigerator. But we typically do bottle warmers, or you can boil a little water in the pot and then take that water off the stove, put the milk in the pot to kind of warm it. But now they have all these bottle warmers. Some people just run hot water on the top of the bottle. That can kind of warm it up a little as well.
For everybody who is listening, how can we support you, Taeshaun?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. So you can follow me on my social media page at Changing Generations NOLA. And also, I have an amazing website, changegen.org. And just check me out. I have a way you can hit me up on social media, on my website as well. You can do a consulting there. I even give out my phone number because that's just who I am. So you can also reach me at 504-638-5305 if you need any support, and I'll be happy to support you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you're open for doula clients and just lactation consultations and all of that.
Absolutely. And I also do speaking engagements as well, facilitating any panel discussions. I really love talking about all things child development, adverse childhood experiences, breastfeeding, doula support, environmental care, and intersectionalities of maternal child health as well. So.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and everybody at Freedom at the Mat. If it does not apply to you, but perhaps you have someone, a loved one, a child, a mentee, a niece, a daughter, anybody who might be having a child, and you want them to at least consider breastfeeding, I ask you and I invite you and encourage you to share this video with them and have them support and get more information from Taeshaun. And she has some really amazing videos on her Instagram feed from other thought leaders as well. May God continue to bless everybody. Ashe.